Welcome to Japanese Sleep Whispers, your sanctuary for peaceful nights and gentle dreams. Here, you will find calming bedtime stories inspired by the timeless beauty and traditions of Japan. Each story is read slowly in a soothing voice, accompanied by natural sounds such as flowing rivers and the tranquil rhythm of shishi-odoshi. Whether you seek relaxation, relief from stress, or help falling asleep, these tales invite you to drift away into a world of serenity. Imagine quiet temples, moonlit gardens, and the whispering bamboo forests as you listen. If you'd like these soothing stories to be part of your nightly routine, consider subscribing so they're always with you when you need them. Subscribe and let these stories be your nightly ritual of calm and rest. Thank you for being here. May you always find peace in every moment. Petals along the moonlit stream. Prologue. The moonlit stream. The night was gentle, the sky a deep indigo, and the silver light of the moon spilled across the landscape like a soft silk sheet. Ren walked quietly along a narrow path beside a stream, its waters moving with a whispered grace, reflecting the moon in shimmering fragments. The path was lined with cherry trees, their petals drifting slowly down like pale pink snow. Each step he took was cushioned by the soft moss and fallen petals that carpeted the ground. The air was cool and carried the faint scent of blossoms, mingled with the earthy perfume of the stream. The gentle murmur of water over smooth stones was a lullaby that invited him to slow his breath, to listen, and to become part of the night itself. Ren paused at a bend in the path, letting his gaze drift over the surface of the stream. Petals floated like tiny boats, carried downstream with effortless grace. The sight filled him with a quiet joy and a sense of timelessness. It was as if the stream itself had become a mirror of the heavens, where moonlight and blossoms intertwined. A lantern hung from a low branch above him, its light warm and steady. Ren reached out his hand, brushing the paper carefully, feeling the faint pulse of heat from the flame. It seemed to him that the lanterns along this path were not mere sources of light, they were guides, gentle guardians lighting the way through shadow and dream. The night wind stirred, rustling the leaves of the cherry trees. A soft sigh passed through the grove, carrying the distant echo of a song, a melody so faint that Ren could not distinguish words, yet its tender cadence resonated deep within him. He closed his eyes and listened, letting the lullaby of the night wrap him in calm. Somewhere upstream, the water tumbled over a small rock, breaking into sparkling droplets that caught the moonlight. Each drop seemed a note in the eternal music of the stream, and Ren felt himself floating with the rhythm, carried along by the gentle current. As he walked on, he noticed small shadows among the bamboo and cherry trees, shapes of animals perhaps, or dreams of those who had passed this way before. They moved quietly, unhurried, appearing and disappearing like fleeting thoughts. Ren felt no fear, only a sense of connection to the night, as though he were part of a story written long before he had arrived. The petals continued to fall, and the moonlight reflected on the water in a way that made each ripple a tiny, dancing star. Ren knelt briefly to watch a cluster of petals swirl in a circular eddy, each blossom moving with grace and precision, a slow dance choreographed by the stream itself. He whispered, "May your journey be gentle," as the petals drifted past him, floating into the distance. The sound of the stream and the rustling leaves followed him, carrying him further along the path, deeper into the grove, and closer to the heart of the night's serene embrace. Lanterns appeared ahead, glowing warmly through the darkened trees. They marked the next stretch of the path, inviting him onward. Ren stood, letting the soft breeze play across his face, and took a slow step forward. Each movement felt deliberate, as if the grove itself guided him with invisible hands. The stream curved gently, leading him into a small clearing where moonlight pooled in silvery circles on the mossy ground. Here, the petals seemed to gather, floating together in a delicate cluster as though waiting to greet him. Ren bowed his head lightly to the stream, to the petals, to the night itself. The lullaby of water, leaves, and distant voices wove together into a calm, endless rhythm. Ren breathed slowly, feeling the tension of the day slip away. He understood, in that quiet moment, that this path was more than a walk through the grove, it was a journey into serenity. A slow passage into dreams where moonlight, water, and blossoms became one. And so, under the pale glow of the moon and surrounded by petals drifting along the stream, Ren continued his way, step by step, heart in rhythm with the gentle song of the night, carrying him toward the stories that the grove had kept waiting for generations. Chapter 1: The Moonlit Path. Ren followed the narrow path that wound beside the stream. The moon hung low in the sky, casting silver light through the branches of cherry and bamboo. Each step brought a soft crunch from the moss and fallen petals beneath his feet. The lanterns along the path glowed faintly, their light steady and warm, guiding him through the darkness. Shadows danced gently among the trees, moving in rhythm with the rustling leaves. Ren walked slowly, letting the gentle sway of bamboo stalks calm his mind and the subtle fragrance of blossoms soothe his senses. Every so often, he paused to watch the stream. Petals drifted lazily on the water, forming small, swirling patterns. The gentle murmur of the current sounded like a lullaby, carrying the soft echo of the moonlight across the grove. Wren whispered to himself, "May the night carry peace along your way," as he stepped forward, feeling the quiet pulse of the grove wrap around him. The path felt endless, yet he did not grow weary. Instead, each step drew him deeper into the serenity of the night. Chapter 2: The Whispering Stream. The path opened into a small clearing where the stream widened slightly, its surface smooth and reflective. Moonlight shimmered across the water, illuminating clusters of petals that floated like tiny boats. Wren knelt at the edge and watched the petals drift. Their slow, deliberate movements seemed to tell a story of travelers who had come before him, of blossoms falling season after season, of the quiet life of the grove hidden beneath the night sky. From somewhere upstream came the soft, musical sound of water tumbling over rocks. Each drop sparkled in the moonlight like a tiny star, adding its note to the lullaby that the grove sang. Wren felt himself breathing in time with the rhythm, each exhale releasing the tension of the day. He placed his hand gently in the stream. The water was cool, curling around his fingers. It felt as though the stream itself was welcoming him, inviting him to continue his journey with a calm heart and open mind. Wren rose and followed the edge of the stream, letting the whispers of water guide him. Lanterns flickered in response, their warm light blending with the silver of the moon. The grove felt alive, yet quiet, as though it existed only to cradle those who sought peace within its embrace. Step by step, he moved forward, carried by the gentle rhythm of the stream, the falling petals, and the quiet songs of the night. Every element of the grove, the bamboo, the water, the lanterns, and the moonlight, was a part of a single, endless lullaby. Chapter 3: The Night Garden. The path led Wren into a hidden grove where the cherry trees formed a gentle canopy overhead. Here, the petals seemed thicker in the air, swirling in quiet circles as though dancing to a melody only they could hear. Lanterns hung from low branches, their golden glow soft and steady, painting the petals in warm light. Wren walked slowly among the trees, his fingers brushing the blossoms that fell like gentle rain. The air was filled with the soft scent of flowers, sweet but subtle, mingling with the faint earthy aroma of moss and damp wood. At the center of the grove, a small pond reflected the moon above. Petals drifted across its surface, creating concentric ripples that caught the lantern light. Wren knelt to watch, feeling the calm of the water seep into him, each ripple a note in the song of the night. The grove seemed alive with quiet presence. Small movements among the shadows hinted at unseen creatures, but none approached too closely. Everything moved with patience and grace, respecting the silence of the night and the rhythm of the falling petals. Wren whispered, "May the night keep you gentle," letting his words mingle with the air and the scent of blossoms. Chapter 4: The Flickering Foxfire. Continuing along the path, Wren noticed a soft, bluish glow ahead. It flickered gently among the bamboo and cherry trees, small but alive. As he drew closer, he realized it was not a lantern, but foxfire, tiny, ethereal flames floating in the air. The foxfire moved gracefully, weaving between the lanterns and casting a gentle, shifting light across the grove. It was playful yet serene, a living dance of light that seemed to know the path better than any guide. Wren followed the flickering flames, stepping carefully among the roots and moss. The foxfire hovered near him for a moment, then darted ahead, leading him through the grove in a soft, glowing procession. Each flame moved with purpose, yet without urgency, teaching him that there was no need to rush in this place. He paused by a small bridge over the stream. The foxfire gathered for a moment above the water, their reflections shimmering like twin stars. Wren bowed gently, feeling the blessing of their light. The flames lifted into the night, scattering slowly as the moonlight deepened. Lanterns along the path seemed to brighten in their wake, carrying their quiet energy forward, guiding Wren ever onward through the dreamlike grove. Chapter 5: The Silence of the Bridge. Wren followed the lantern-lit path until it brought him to a small wooden bridge arching gracefully over the stream. The wood was smooth and cool under his feet, worn by years of quiet travelers. Lanterns lined the railings, their soft glow reflecting in the water below. He paused midway across the bridge, letting the night's sounds wash over him. The gentle murmur of the stream, the faint rustle of bamboo leaves, and the occasional flicker of lantern flame created a delicate symphony of stillness. Wren rested his hands lightly on the railing, breathing slowly. The bridge seemed to hold him, not just as a structure of wood but as a guardian of serenity. Every movement, every sound, every reflection in the water below carried a sense of timeless calm. He whispered, "May all who cross here feel the same peace," and the lanterns seemed to flicker in gentle response. Step by step, he continued across, feeling lighter with each motion, as if the bridge itself were carrying him forward into deeper rest. Chapter 6: The Moon's Reflection. Beyond the bridge, the stream widened into a quiet pool, its surface smooth as glass. The moon hung low, casting silver light across the water, and the lanterns along the shore glowed softly in golden contrast. Ren knelt at the water's edge, gazing at the mirrored moon. Petals floated on the surface, drifting slowly, their pale pink forms catching both moonlight and lantern glow. The reflection was perfect, yet slightly shifted by gentle ripples, as if the pool itself breathed in rhythm with the night. A soft breeze stirred the bamboo leaves, creating delicate patterns of shadow and light across the water. Ren watched the ripples carry the petals in circular dances, their motion slow, rhythmic, and hypnotic. The stream seemed to murmur, a tender voice urging him to let go of thought, to drift into the quiet embrace of the grove. Ren touched the water lightly with his fingers. It was cool and calm, carrying the reflection of the moon and petals alike. For a long moment, he simply breathed with the water, feeling the rhythm of the night seep into his chest and limbs, settling him gently into a state of calm awareness. The lanterns flickered in tandem with the movement of the water, and Ren smiled softly. He rose, following the edge of the stream as it wound onward, carried by the subtle song of moonlight, petals, and the gentle pulse of the night. Chapter 7 Shadows in the Bamboo. Ren continued along the path as the stream curved gently through the grove. The bamboo here grew taller and closer together, their stalks casting long, slender shadows in the moonlight. The air was cool, carrying the subtle scent of earth and leaves, and the rustle of the bamboo whispered with each movement of the night wind. Shadows danced between the stalks, moving with a quiet rhythm. Sometimes they were mistaken for small animals, for drifting petals, but Ren understood that they were simply the night itself, expressing its calm presence. He stepped lightly, feeling the soft carpet of moss underfoot and letting the sway of bamboo guide his pace. The lanterns along the path flickered gently, their light weaving through the shadows and illuminating small clearings. Ren paused for a moment to breathe, absorbing the serene cadence of the grove. The interplay of light and shadow felt like a slow, gentle song, each sway of bamboo a note, each glimmer of lantern flame a chord. He whispered to the grove, "May your shadows carry only calm," and the bamboo swayed in response, their rustling leaves like a tender sigh of acknowledgement. Chapter 8 The Moonlit Garden. The path soon opened into a small garden, enclosed by low stone walls and dotted with moss-covered stones. Cherry trees arched overhead, their petals drifting softly to the ground. And a few lanterns hung from branches, casting warm pools of light across the garden floor. At the center of the garden was a small pond, its surface calm and reflective. Moonlight fell across the water, mingling with the lantern glow and creating shimmering patterns that moved with the gentle breeze. Wren knelt beside the pond, watching the petals float across the mirrored surface. A soft sigh of air rustled the leaves, and the lanterns flickered in gentle harmony with the night. Wren felt the calm deepen within him, as though the garden itself were breathing in tandem with his body. Each detail, the water, the moss, the petals, and the lanterns worked together to lull him into a state of quiet serenity. He whispered, "May the garden rest in peace as I rest within it," letting his words mingle with the air and light around him. Wren sat on a smooth stone, closing his eyes, and allowed the gentle rhythm of the grove, the pond, and the lanterns to guide him toward a deeper, dream-filled slumber. Chapter 9: The Misty Riverside. Wren left the moonlit garden and followed the stream as it curved gently through the bamboo. Here, a thin mist rose from the water, curling like soft silk around the bamboo stalks and drifting across the path. Lanterns glowed through the fog, their warm light softened into halos that shimmered in the haze. The air was cool and damp, carrying the faint scent of water and moss. Wren's footsteps were muffled on the soft earth, and the distant ripple of the stream blended with the rustle of bamboo leaves, creating a gentle symphony of night sounds. He paused at the river bank and watched the mist swirl over the water. Petals drifted slowly across the surface, carried by the current and the fog. Their movement was unhurried, graceful, like a slow dance choreographed by the night itself. Wren whispered, "May the river carry all dreams gently," and the mist seemed to respond, curling and twisting as if acknowledging his words. Step by step, he continued along the water, guided by the lantern light and the quiet rhythm of the stream. Chapter 10: The Starlit Path. The mist gradually thinned as Wren followed the stream, revealing a narrow path lined with bamboo and cherry trees. Above, the sky was scattered with stars, their light shimmering through the leaves and mingling with the warm glow of lanterns along the trail. Wren walked slowly, letting the interplay of starlight and lanterns guide him. Shadows moved gently among the trees, blending with the light in delicate patterns that shifted with every breeze. The path felt timeless, a bridge between the world of waking and the world of dreams. Petals fell silently around him, some landing on the path, some floating past in the air like drifting feathers. The combination of lanterns, starlight, and petals created a gentle, hypnotic rhythm, as if the night itself were breathing with him. Wren paused briefly to gaze at the stars reflected in a small puddle on the path. The mirrored constellations seemed alive, dancing softly on the water's surface. He whispered, "May all who walk this path find the same peace," and continued onward, each step drawing him deeper into the calm embrace of night and dream. Chapter 11 Shadows of the Night Blooms. Ren continued along the starlit path, entering a grove where cherry blossoms and bamboo intertwined more densely. Here, the night seemed deeper, richer, and the shadows of petals and leaves danced slowly in the soft lantern glow. The air was filled with the subtle fragrance of flowers, delicate and sweet, carrying hints of earth and water. Every gentle breeze stirred petals into slow spirals, drifting like whispers of forgotten dreams. Ren's footsteps were muffled on the mossy ground, and each movement seemed to merge with the rhythm of the grove itself. He paused to watch a cluster of petals caught in a swirl of wind, floating gracefully between lanterns. The movement was hypnotic, a slow, silent dance that invited him to breathe deeply and let his thoughts settle. Ren whispered, "May your blooms guard the night," and the petals seemed to linger a moment longer, as if listening to his words. Each shadow, each swirl of blossoms, carried the calm of countless nights before, welcoming him into the grove's quiet embrace. Chapter 12 Moonlight by the Water. The path opened onto a small pond, its surface still and reflective. Lanterns hung from low branches above, their golden glow mingling with the silver moonlight to create a shimmering mosaic on the water. Petals drifted across the pond, carried gently by the night air. Ren knelt at the water's edge, letting his fingers touch the surface. The pond was cool, yet comforting, holding the reflections of the moon, lanterns, and trees in perfect harmony. Each ripple from his touch created tiny waves, sending the mirrored stars dancing across the water. A soft sigh of wind moved through the grove, causing the lanterns to flicker gently. The sound, combined with the murmur of the water and the rustling leaves, formed a lullaby more subtle than any melody. Ren closed his eyes for a moment, letting the harmony of the night wrap him in a quiet cocoon. He whispered, "May the night hold all who seek calm," and felt the grove respond with stillness. A gentle, unbroken peace that flowed through the water, the air, and the soft weight of falling petals. Rising, Ren continued along the path, guided by the pond's reflection and the lantern's warm glow, each step a part of the serene rhythm of the grove. Chapter 13 The Path of Floating Blossoms. Ren followed the stream as it narrowed into a slender waterway, flanked by bamboo and cherry trees. Petals floated lazily on the surface, moving with the current in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Lanterns hung low from branches, casting golden pools of light that shimmered upon the drifting petals. Each step Ren took was measured and calm, as if he were walking on air. The soft murmur of the stream, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the occasional flutter of petals created a serene symphony. Every sound, every movement, seemed to merge seamlessly with the night. He bent down to watch the petals circle gently in eddies along the stream. Their movement was delicate, yet precise, a dance guided by forces unseen. Ren whispered, "May your journey be gentle," and the petals seemed to respond, drifting onward with even greater grace. The path twisted and curved with the stream, each bend revealing new clusters of lanterns and blossoms. The combination of soft light and drifting petals created an endless sense of wonder, like stepping through a dream carefully preserved by the night. Chapter 14 The Light Among the Bamboo. Beyond a gentle curve of the path, Ren entered a section of dense bamboo where soft lantern light flickered among the stalks. The glow was faint and ethereal, illuminating the green stalks and casting elongated shadows that danced slowly with the movement of the night wind. Small patches of mist hovered close to the ground, curling around the bamboo like silk ribbons. Within the haze, faint shapes of foxfire appeared, drifting softly above the moss and petals. Their pale blue flames mingled with the golden lantern glow, creating a delicate, otherworldly light. Ren walked slowly among the bamboo, letting the luminous dance of light guide his steps. Every sway of the bamboo, every flicker of the lanterns, and every drifting thread of foxfire felt purposeful. Yet gentle, a quiet harmony that invited stillness. He paused to place his hand on a moss-covered stone and whispered, "May your light guide all who wander here." The lanterns and foxfire seemed to respond with a soft shimmer, as if acknowledging his presence and allowing him to continue deeper into the calm embrace of the grove. Chapter 15 The Lanterns on the Water. Ren reached a wider section of the stream, where the water flowed slowly, like liquid glass. Lanterns floated gently on its surface, their golden glow reflected and multiplied, creating the illusion of countless lights drifting downstream. Petals continued to float among the lanterns, mingling with the reflections and forming delicate patterns. Each movement of the water shifted the lights and petals in a subtle dance, mesmerizing and soothing. Ren knelt to watch, feeling the cool evening air brush against his skin. The gentle murmur of the stream, the soft sway of lanterns, and the slow descent of petals created a rhythm that matched his own breathing. Ren whispered, "May your light drift safely," and the lanterns seemed to pulse gently, as if carrying his words along the water. Step by step, he followed the lantern-lit stream, each movement slow and deliberate, guided by the soft glow and the calm music of the night. Every ripple, every reflection, became a note in the lullaby of the grove. Chapter 16 The Pond That Holds the Sky. Further along the path, Ren found a small, still pond, its surface perfectly reflective. The moon and stars above mirrored themselves in the water, blending seamlessly with the lanterns floating on its surface. It was as if the sky itself had descended to rest within the grove. Ren knelt at the edge, letting his fingers trail lightly in the cool water. Ripples spread slowly, distorting the reflected constellations into shimmering waves. Petals drifted gently across the pond, creating slow dances across the mirrored sky. A faint breeze stirred the bamboo leaves, causing lanterns to flicker softly. The combination of wind, water, and light created a serene chorus, inviting him to let go of thought and surrender to the peaceful rhythm of the night. Ren closed his eyes, feeling the gentle pulse of the grove beneath him, the water, the lanterns, the stars, and the petals. He breathed slowly, letting the tranquility fill every part of him. When he opened his eyes again, the pond glowed faintly under the moonlight, a perfect mirror of the calm within his heart. Chapter 17 The Mist-Shrouded Path. Ren continued along the stream, where the air grew cooler and a delicate mist hovered close to the ground. The path became faintly obscured, as if the grove itself wished him to slow his steps and listen to the subtle symphony of night. Lanterns glowed softly through the fog, their warm light diffused into gentle halos. Petals drifted among the mist, floating like pale lanterns themselves. Each step Ren took made no sound on the mossy ground, yet the movement stirred the fog slightly, sending tiny waves of mist curling through the bamboo stalks. The stream's gentle murmur echoed in the mist, carrying a calm that seemed to seep into Ren's chest. Shadows of leaves and petals danced on the fog, creating a serene, hypnotic rhythm. Ren whispered, "May your path be gentle," and the mist seemed to respond, curling in slow, deliberate swirls. He walked slowly, letting the haze guide him, feeling the soft pulse of the grove in each step, each breath, each glance at the softly glowing lanterns ahead. Chapter 18 The Whisper of the Bamboo. The mist gradually thinned as Ren entered a denser part of the bamboo grove. The stalks towered above him, their leaves rustling softly with the night wind. The sound was a tender murmur, like a chorus of quiet voices singing a lullaby to the grove itself. Lanterns hung at intervals along the path, their warm light illuminating patches of moss and scattered petals. The shadows of bamboo swayed gently, moving in harmony with the soft breath of the wind. Ren stepped lightly, letting the rhythmic whispers of bamboo guide his movements. He paused for a moment, closing his eyes to absorb the gentle symphony of sounds. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of bamboo, every flicker of lantern flame felt purposeful yet soothing, a careful orchestration of night's calm. Ren whispered, "May your whispers reach all who wander here," and the grove responded with a faint, swaying motion of bamboo, as if acknowledging his presence and granting him passage deeper into the serene embrace of the night. Chapter 19 The Flowing Moonlight. Ren continued along the bamboo-lined path, where the moonlight filtered through the leaves in soft, silver streams. The light danced across the mossy ground, illuminating the scattered petals and creating delicate patterns that shifted with every sway of the bamboo. The stream beside him reflected the moon's glow, carrying its light forward as if the water itself were flowing with silver. Ren knelt by the edge and watched, mesmerized by the gentle movement. Petals drifted past, carried by both the current and the soft wind, creating tiny, swirling eddies that seemed like slow dances of light and color. He whispered, "May your flow be gentle," letting the words mingle with the night air. The bamboo swayed subtly in response, their shadows stretching gracefully across the path. Every step forward felt carried by the rhythm of the stream, the light, and the softly falling petals. Chapter 20 The Silence of the Night Garden. The path soon opened into a hidden garden, enclosed by low stone walls and scattered with moss-covered stones. Cherry trees arched overhead, and their petals drifted gently down, painting the ground in pale pink. Lanterns hung from branches, their warm glow mingling with the silver moonlight to create a serene, dreamlike illumination. Ren stepped into the garden, inhaling the soft fragrance of blossoms mixed with the subtle scent of damp earth. The air was still, yet filled with quiet sounds: the murmur of the stream, the rustle of bamboo leaves, and the whisper of petals touching the ground. He knelt at the edge of a small pond at the garden's center, watching the petals float slowly on the mirrored surface. The moon and lanterns reflected together, creating an endless pattern of gentle light and shadow. Ren closed his eyes for a moment, letting the garden's lullaby seep into him, wrapping him in calm. Rising slowly, he walked among the lanterns and blossoms, each step measured, each movement harmonizing with the night's rhythm. The garden held him in its serene embrace, carrying him deeper into the quiet of the night and the promise of peaceful dreams. Chapter 21 The Bridge in Moonlight. Wren followed the garden path until it led him to a small wooden bridge arching gracefully over the stream. Moonlight bathed the bridge in silver, highlighting the gentle curves of its railings and casting soft reflections on the water below. The stream's surface shimmered with ripples, each catching the moonlight and scattering it like tiny stars. Lanterns hung along the bridge, their glow blending seamlessly with the moon, creating a warm, inviting passage. Wren stepped onto the bridge, feeling the smooth wood beneath his feet. The sounds of night, the gentle murmur of the stream, the rustling bamboo leaves, and the distant flutter of petals combined into a soft lullaby. Each step he took felt deliberate yet effortless, as if the bridge itself guided him toward tranquility. He paused midway, leaning lightly on the railing, and whispered, "May all who cross here feel peace," letting the words mingle with the moonlight and water. The lanterns flickered gently, as if acknowledging his presence, and Wren continued across the bridge with a calm heart. Chapter 22: The Sleep of the Bamboo. Beyond the bridge, the path led into a quiet section of bamboo grove. The stalks stood tall and close together, their shadows stretching long in the moonlight. Lanterns flickered softly among the bamboo, illuminating patches of moss and scattered petals. Wren walked slowly, letting the rhythm of the groove guide him. The bamboo swayed gently in the night breeze, creating a tender rustling sound that mingled with the distant murmur of the stream. Every sound, every shadow, every flicker of light contributed to the gentle music of the night. He found a smooth stone beside the path and sat down, closing his eyes. The grove seemed to breathe with him, every rustle and flicker syncing with his heartbeat. Petals drifted lazily past, and the moonlight painted soft patterns across the moss and bamboo. Wren whispered, "May all who wander here find rest," and leaned back against a bamboo stalk. Allowing the serene embrace of the grove to carry him gently into sleep. The lanterns glowed softly, the moon shimmered above, and the grove held him in its quiet, timeless lullaby. Chapter 23: The Petal-Laden Stream. Wren followed the stream as it narrowed into a delicate waterway, lined with cherry trees and bamboo. Petals floated gracefully on the surface, drifting with the current in slow, mesmerizing spirals. Lanterns hung from branches, their warm glow reflecting softly on the water. He knelt beside the stream, watching as petals twirled and circled, their motion calm and deliberate. The sound of the water flowing over smooth stones formed a gentle lullaby, and the faint rustle of leaves added a soft, rhythmic accompaniment. Wren whispered, "May the petals carry dreams gently," and felt the tranquility of the grove settle around him. Each ripple, each reflection, each drifting blossom seemed to echo his words, inviting him to continue deeper into the serene night. The path curved with the stream, revealing new clusters of lanterns and blossoms. The combination of light, water, and petals created a continuous, hypnotic rhythm, as if the night itself were breathing alongside him. Chapter 24: The Hidden Moonlit Garden. The path opened into a small, secluded garden, hidden behind a gentle rise. Cherry trees formed a canopy overhead, their blossoms drifting slowly to the moss-covered ground. Lanterns hung from low branches, casting warm, golden pools of light that mingled with the silver of the moon. At the center of the garden, a tranquil pond reflected the moon and lanterns, creating a shimmering tapestry of light and shadow. Petals floated across the surface, tracing delicate patterns with every small ripple. Wren knelt beside the pond, letting his fingers touch the water, feeling the cool, calm seep into him. A soft breeze stirred the bamboo and cherry leaves, causing lanterns to flicker gently. The combination of wind, water, and light created a harmonious lullaby that wrapped around Wren like a quiet embrace. He whispered, "May all who enter here find rest," and allowed the serenity of the garden to guide him slowly forward along the path. Chapter 25: The Flow of Starlight. Wren followed the winding path as the moon rose higher, its light mingling with the soft glow of lanterns and the faint shimmer of stars above. The stream beside him reflected the heavens, carrying tiny, scattered lights downstream in a slow, mesmerizing dance. Petals drifted across the water, each one catching the moon and starlight, becoming a floating reflection of the night sky. Wren knelt to watch them, entranced by the gentle flow, feeling the rhythm of the stream echo in his own heartbeat. The bamboo rustled softly in the night breeze, its shadows swaying with the movement of light. Wren whispered, "May the stars guide all who wander here," and felt the grove's calm energy wrap around him like a gentle cloak. He rose, stepping forward with a measured, deliberate pace. Letting the shimmering light of stars, petals, and lanterns guide him deeper into the serene embrace of the night. Chapter 26: Dreams Among the Bamboo. The path led Wren into a deeper part of the bamboo grove. The stalks were tall and close, swaying gently in the night breeze, their shadows creating a delicate rhythm on the moss-covered ground. Lanterns flickered softly, casting pools of warm light that mingled with the silver glow of the moon. Wren walked slowly, letting the gentle movement of bamboo and the subtle fragrance of moss and blossoms guide his mind toward stillness. Petals drifted past like floating whispers, and the distant murmur of the stream added a lullaby to the quiet symphony of night. He found a smooth stone beside the path and sat, closing his eyes to absorb the calm of the grove. Every rustle, every flicker of light, every floating petal seemed to sync with his own breathing, drawing him deeper into a dreamlike state. Wren whispered, "May all who enter find rest," and leaned back against a bamboo stalk, letting the gentle rhythm of the grove carry him toward peaceful slumber. Chapter 27 The Moonlit Trail. Wren continued along a narrow path, where bamboo and cherry trees arched overhead, filtering the moonlight into soft, silvery beams. The ground was carpeted with petals, and the lanterns hanging from branches cast warm, gentle pools of light that guided his steps. The stream beside him glimmered in the moonlight, its gentle murmur blending with the rustling leaves to form a delicate symphony. Shadows swayed softly across the path, and every movement of light and leaf seemed perfectly synchronized with the rhythm of the night. Wren whispered, "May your path be calm," and felt the serenity of the grove settle into him. Each step was deliberate, yet effortless, as if the grove itself guided him forward, deeper into the quiet embrace of the moonlit night. Chapter 28 Petals on the Water. The path opened to a wider section of the stream, where petals floated gently on the surface, carried slowly by the current. Lanterns reflected in the water, mingling with the moonlight to create a shimmering tapestry of gold and silver. Wren knelt at the water's edge, watching the petals drift in circles and spirals. The stream's gentle flow and the soft rustle of bamboo leaves created a lullaby that enveloped him in calm. He placed his fingers lightly in the water, feeling the cool surface ripple and catch the light in tiny, dancing patterns. A faint breeze stirred the trees and the lanterns, and the petals moved gracefully with each gentle gust. Wren whispered, "May all who pass find peace," and let the serenity of the night wash over him. Rising slowly, he continued along the stream, guided by the soft glow of lanterns and the flowing rhythm of petals on the water. Chapter 29 Shadows of the Flowing Moon. Wren followed the stream as it meandered gently through the grove. The moon hung low, casting long, silver reflections that danced across the water's surface. Petals floated lazily, catching the light and forming a delicate mosaic of color and shadow. The lanterns along the path glowed softly, their golden light blending seamlessly with the moon's silver. Each flicker created ripples of warmth in the cool night, and the gentle murmur of the stream formed a calming, rhythmic lullaby. Wren knelt beside the water, watching the shadows shift with each ripple and every passing petal. He whispered, "May the moon's reflection guide all who wander here," and felt the serene energy of the night settle around him. Each step he took afterward was gentle, measured, and full of quiet purpose. Chapter 30 The Bamboo's Deep Slumber. The path led Ren deeper into the bamboo grove, where the stalks grew tall and close together, forming a natural cathedral of shadows and light. Lanterns hung at intervals, casting soft pools of glow onto the mossy ground. The bamboo swayed slightly in the night breeze, creating a delicate chorus of rustling leaves. Ren walked slowly, letting the rhythmic whispers of bamboo guide his movements. Petals floated through the air, drifting softly to the ground, adding subtle color to the silver and gold of the night. He found a smooth stone beside the path and sat down, closing his eyes. The gentle rhythm of the grove, the swaying bamboo, the soft murmur of the stream, the flickering lanterns enveloped him completely. Ren whispered, "May all who enter this grove rest in peace," and allowed himself to sink into the deep, comforting lullaby of the night. Chapter 31 The Star-Filled Path. Ren continued along the winding path, where bamboo and cherry trees arched overhead, creating a tunnel of soft shadow and moonlight. Through gaps in the leaves, countless stars twinkled, their light blending with the golden glow of lanterns along the trail. Petals drifted gently on the moss-covered ground, stirred occasionally by a soft breeze. Each step Ren took felt synchronized with the subtle rhythm of the night, the rustle of leaves, the faint ripple of the stream, the whisper of petals falling. He paused to gaze at the sky through an opening in the bamboo. The stars shimmered like scattered gems, mirrored faintly in the stream below. Ren whispered, "May the stars guide all who walk this path," and continued onward, carried by the quiet, mesmerizing harmony of night. Chapter 32 The Stillness by the Water. The path led Ren to a wider section of the stream, where the water lay still, reflecting the moon, stars, and lanterns above. Petals floated gracefully across its surface, forming gentle, drifting patterns. Ren knelt beside the water, letting his fingers brush the cool surface. The faint ripple of the stream, combined with the soft murmur of bamboo leaves, created a lullaby of quiet, hypnotic rhythm. Lanterns flickered softly, casting golden pools of light that danced alongside the silver of the moon. He whispered, "May this stillness bring calm to all who wander here," and leaned back against a moss-covered stone, closing his eyes. The stream, the bamboo, the lanterns, and the stars seemed to merge into a single, serene embrace, carrying him gently toward restful slumber. Chapter 33 The Bamboo in Moonlight. Ren continued along the winding path through the dense bamboo grove. The tall stalks swayed gently in the night breeze, their shadows stretching long and delicate across the moss-covered ground. Moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting a soft silver glow that danced across his path. Lanterns hung intermittently, their warm light blending with the moon's glow, creating a serene harmony of silver and gold. Each step Ren took was slow and deliberate, letting the rhythm of swaying bamboo guide his movements. He paused for a moment, letting the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of the stream fill his senses. Ren whispered softly, "May your movement bring peace," and the bamboo seemed to respond, swaying ever so gently, as if carrying his words deeper into the night. Chapter 34 The Whisper of Petals. The path opened into a small clearing where cherry blossoms hung low, their petals drifting like soft whispers in the night air. Lanterns glowed warmly, highlighting the pale pink petals as they floated gracefully to the ground. Ren knelt to watch a cluster of petals drift across a small pool of water. The moon and lanterns reflected in the surface, creating a shimmering dance of light and color. The gentle ripple of water, combined with the soft rustle of bamboo and falling petals, formed a lullaby more subtle than any song. He reached out and let a petal rest lightly on his hand, feeling its delicate weight. Ren whispered, "May the whispers of petals bring calm to all," and watched as the petals continued their slow journey across the water. Rising, he walked gently along the path, carried forward by the serene music of light, water, and drifting blossoms. Chapter 35 Moonlight on the Water. Ren followed the stream as it widened into a calm, reflective pool. The surface mirrored the moon above, silver ripples spreading gently with each soft breeze. Lanterns hung along the banks, their golden glow mingling with the moonlight to create a tranquil, dreamlike scene. Petals floated across the water, drifting slowly in delicate spirals. Each ripple seemed to carry the reflection of the stars and lanterns, forming a gentle, ever-changing mosaic of light. Ren knelt at the edge, letting his fingers brush the cool surface, feeling the night's serenity seep into him. The gentle murmur of the stream, combined with the faint rustle of bamboo leaves and the soft movement of petals, formed a hypnotic rhythm. Ren whispered, "May the moon's reflection bring peace to all who see it," and allowed himself to be carried forward by the calm, flowing energy of the water. Chapter 36 The Restful Night Garden. The path led Ren into a small garden hidden among bamboo and cherry trees. The air was fragrant with blossoms, their petals drifting slowly to the moss-covered ground. Lanterns hung low, casting soft, warm light that mingled with the silver of the moon, creating a serene, magical glow. At the center of the garden, a tranquil pond reflected the moon and lanterns, its surface dotted with floating petals. Ren knelt beside the water, letting his eyes follow the gentle movements of light and blossoms. The soft rustle of leaves, the faint murmur of the stream, and the subtle glow of lanterns combined into a quiet, soothing lullaby. He sat on a smooth stone, closing his eyes, and whispered, "May all who enter this garden find calm and rest." The garden seemed to respond, holding him in a serene embrace, the peaceful harmony of water, petals, and moonlight guiding him gently toward a deep, dream-filled slumber. Chapter 37 The Stars on the Water. Ren followed the stream as it widened into a tranquil pool, where the surface reflected the night sky. Stars shimmered on the water, mingling with lantern reflections to form a delicate mosaic of silver and gold. Petals floated slowly across the surface, tracing tiny circles and eddies. The gentle movement of water created subtle ripples, sending the mirrored stars dancing softly with each current. Ren knelt at the edge, letting his fingers skim the water, feeling the cool, calm embrace of the night. The rustle of bamboo leaves and the soft murmur of the stream formed a lullaby that filled the grove. Ren whispered, "May the stars guide all who wander here," letting his words drift over the water and into the stillness of the night. Chapter 38 Dreams Among the Bamboo. The path led Ren deeper into a bamboo grove, where tall stalks swayed gently in the night breeze. Lanterns flickered softly among the leaves, casting warm, golden light that mingled with the silver moonlight. The bamboo seemed to breathe with the night, creating a slow, rhythmic whisper. Ren walked slowly, letting the cadence of the bamboo and the soft rustle of leaves guide him. Petals drifted gently past, falling like whispers from the sky. He paused to sit on a smooth stone, closing his eyes and listening to the grove's quiet symphony. The combination of swaying bamboo, flowing water, flickering lanterns, and drifting petals created a serene lullaby. Ren whispered, "May all who enter this grove find calm," and allowed himself to sink into the gentle embrace of the night, carried toward peaceful, dream-filled slumber. Chapter 39 The Moonlit Pool. Ren arrived at a secluded pool, its surface perfectly still and reflecting the full moon above. Lanterns hung from low branches around the water, their golden light blending with the silver of the moon to create a calm, dreamlike glow. Petals floated gently across the surface, drifting in slow spirals. The soft murmur of the stream feeding the pool and the faint rustle of bamboo leaves formed a lullaby that filled the grove. Ren knelt beside the water, letting his fingers touch the cool surface and feel the subtle ripples. He whispered, "May the moonlight bring peace to all who rest here," and watched as the reflections danced lightly on the water. The scene was timeless, a perfect moment of quiet, gentle harmony that seemed to suspend the night itself. Chapter 40: The Silence of the Night. The path beyond the pool led Ren into the final stretch of the grove. The bamboo stood tall and still, the lanterns flickered softly, and petals drifted lazily through the air. The night's rhythm, the rustle of leaves, the gentle murmur of water, the soft glow of lanterns was now a lullaby that wrapped the entire grove in tranquility. Ren found a smooth stone and sat down, closing his eyes. He breathed slowly, letting the serene harmony of the grove fill every part of him. The moon reflected in the water, the lanterns glowed warmly, and the petals continued their slow, drifting dance. He whispered, "May all who walk this grove find calm and sleep," and leaned back. Letting the gentle embrace of the bamboo, water, and moonlight carry him into a deep, dream-filled slumber. The grove held him in quiet, timeless serenity, and the night whispered as if bidding the world good night. Reflections beneath the stone lanterns. Prologue: the lanterns awaken. Beneath the veil of dusk, when the sky glowed with muted shades of indigo and fading amber. The stone lanterns along the moss-lined path stirred with a quiet presence. Their carved bodies, weathered by centuries of wind and rain, stood as silent guardians at the edge of a forgotten garden. Though no flame burned within them yet, one could almost sense a glow hidden deep inside, like the memory of a dream waiting to be rekindled. This was not the kind of place found on maps, nor could it be stumbled upon by accident. It belonged to the realm of gentle crossings where waking and dreaming brushed against each other, where footsteps slowed until even time seemed to hush. At the garden's heart lay a pond, its surface still as polished glass. Every ripple carried the reflection of stars not yet risen, and the scent of pine needles drifted on the cool air. Somewhere in the distance, a temple bell released a single note, soft as if it had traveled through centuries before reaching here. It was in this place of hushed lanterns and watchful silence that the story begins, not with great clamor, but with the whisper of leaves. The faintest echo of footsteps, and the promise of a journey meant not to excite the mind, but to soothe it into a deeper stillness. Chapter 1: A Garden Between Waking and Dreaming. The path to the garden appeared only to those who wandered slowly, without haste or heavy purpose. It wound gently through a small village at the foot of low mountains, where wooden houses leaned toward narrow streets, and paper lanterns swayed above doorways like drifting moons. The villagers did not speak of the hidden garden, but their lives moved in rhythm with it nonetheless, as though the hush of its presence had seeped into their days. A traveler, weary from long journeys, arrived one late afternoon. His steps were quiet, his thoughts slower than they had once been, and so he noticed the path that curved away from the main road. Lined with bamboo that whispered in the wind, the path invited him without words. He followed, each step carrying him deeper into an unfamiliar calm. The air grew cooler as he entered the grove. Shadows stretched long and soft, never heavy. The moss beneath the lanterns was thick and deep green, holding the weight of time as if it were nothing more than dew. When he reached the pond at the center, the stillness wrapped around him like a gentle blanket. He sat upon a worn stone, his body quieting. The lanterns did not shine, yet he felt a presence as if they watched kindly, guarding the threshold between his restless waking and the gentleness of sleep. His eyes drifted closed, and for the first time in many nights, his breath slowed to the rhythm of the garden. The village faded. The journey faded. Even his name, which had clung to him through countless miles, dissolved into the evening air. Only the soft murmur of water, the distant bell, and the breath of the lanterns remained. Chapter 2: The Voice of the Lanterns. In the hush of dreams, the traveler found himself still seated by the pond, though the night around him had shifted. The lanterns, once unlit, now glowed faintly, each with a flame that did not burn but shimmered like moonlight caught in water. The glow did not startle him. Instead, it filled him with warmth, as if the lanterns had always carried such light, and only now had he slowed enough to see it. From within the glow came a voice, not a sound in the air, but a resonance within his heart. It was neither male nor female, neither old nor young, but gentle as falling snow. "We are keepers of silence," the voice said. "We are watchers of passage. Those who linger here step softly between waking and dreaming. You have come not to seek, but to rest." The traveler bowed his head, not in obligation but in gratitude. He felt no need to speak, for his silence was answer enough. The lanterns glowed a little brighter, revealing more of the garden. Blossoms that had not been there before opened along the water's edge, white, pale pink, and the softest lavender. They did not carry the heavy fragrance of spring but instead a faint, cleansing sweetness, like a memory that eases rather than clings. As the blossoms opened, the traveler's thoughts unwound, thread by thread. The weight of roads traveled, of uncertain destinations, and of distant voices asking for things he could no longer Provide all drifted away like petals on a stream. The voice of the lanterns returned, softer now. Rest here. Each night, we will guide you deeper. Each morning, you will rise with lighter steps. And so, surrounded by glowing stone, quiet blossoms, and the still pond, the traveler rested. His dreams carried no sharp images, no restless wanderings. Only reflections, gentle and slow, like lantern light across water. Chapter 3: The Gentle Stream. When the traveler awoke again, morning light rested softly on the moss. Mist lingered above the pond, curling like threads of silk. He rose slowly, as though any sudden motion might disturb the hush that lay upon the garden. The lanterns no longer glowed, but their stone forms seemed quietly content, as if they had given all they needed through the night. He walked along a path of smooth stones leading away from the pond. It guided him toward the sound of water, a faint trickling that promised another hidden corner of calm. Soon, he found a stream weaving through the garden, its waters so clear that pebbles beneath looked polished by centuries of patience. The traveler knelt beside the stream. When he dipped his hands into the water, it was cool, neither biting nor sharp, but refreshing in the gentlest way. He drank, and the taste was clean like rain that had fallen before memory itself. The stream seemed to hum as it moved, not in melody but in rhythm, like a quiet breath repeated endlessly. The sound merged with the sighing bamboo above, and together they created a lullaby too subtle for waking ears, yet perfect for easing the heart. As he listened, he noticed small fish drifting lazily, their scales glinting like fragments of sunlight even beneath the shade. They moved without haste, never rushing, as if the stream itself taught them how to flow without effort. The traveler sat by the stream for a long while. He did not count the moments, nor measure the passage of the sun. Instead, he felt as though the stream counted for him, each ripple carrying time away so he did not need to. When at last he rose, he felt lighter. The stream continued its endless song, promising to keep carrying burdens downstream, away into the unseen distance. Chapter 4: The Whispering Pines. Beyond the stream, the garden opened into a grove of pines. Their trunks rose tall and straight, their bark patterned like ancient script. The air beneath their branches was cool, and the scent resinous, deep, and steady wrapped around the traveler like a cloak. The pines whispered as the wind moved through them. It was not the sharp rustling of restless woods, but a steady murmur, like voices that had been speaking for centuries and never needed to raise themselves. The traveler paused beneath them, tilting his head to listen. The murmur did not form into words, yet it conveyed meaning all the same. It spoke of endurance, of standing tall through countless winters and gentle rains. It spoke of watching the garden shift and settle, year after year, without seeking to alter its course. He leaned against one of the trunks, its surface rough but grounding. Closing his eyes, he let the whispering fill the quiet spaces of his mind. The memories that still clung to him, the long roads, the nights of weariness, the silent questions of where he belonged seemed less insistent now. Above him, the pine branches swayed slowly, their needles catching fragments of sunlight and scattering them like falling stars. Each glimmer lasted only a breath before fading, yet together they created a gentle shimmer that never truly ended. The traveler rested there, breathing in rhythm with the pines. For a time, he felt as though he too had roots, sinking into the mossy ground, drawing stillness from the earth. When he finally opened his eyes, he found that hours might have passed or none at all. The garden gave no sense of measured time. It asked nothing of him but presence, and in return it offered silence, shade, and the patient wisdom of whispering trees. Chapter 5: The Bridge of Quiet Steps. As the traveler wandered deeper into the garden, he came upon a small wooden bridge arched gently over the stream. Its planks were worn smooth, carrying the memory of countless steps, though no footprints marked them now. Moss clung to its edges, softening the lines, so that the bridge seemed to grow naturally from the earth itself. He stepped onto it slowly. The wood gave a faint creak, not sharp, but like an old voice murmuring a greeting. Beneath him, the water moved unhurriedly, carrying leaves in circles before letting them drift away. The bridge did not feel like a crossing but a pause. Standing at its center, the traveler looked out in both directions, the path behind and the path ahead, and felt no need to choose between them. The bridge itself was enough, a place where movement and stillness balanced perfectly. He leaned on the rail, watching the water shimmer. The lanterns, though distant now, seemed to glow faintly in his memory, their presence following even when unseen. The bridge, too, held that same quiet promise that every place in the garden was connected, not by roads or markers, but by silence. The traveler closed his eyes and listened. The creak of the wood, the murmur of the stream, the faint rustle of pine needles all blended into one steady rhythm, like a heartbeat carried by the earth. He breathed with it, and for a long while, time dissolved again. When he stepped off the bridge at last, he did not look back. He knew the bridge would remain, patient and unchanging, ready for his return if ever his steps grew heavy once more. Chapter 6: The Pavilion of Still Air. Beyond the bridge, the traveler found a clearing where a small pavilion stood. Its roof curved gently, tiles darkened by years of rain, and its wooden pillars bore the softness of age. The pavilion was simple, offering only shade and a place to sit, yet it radiated a presence that welcomed without expectation. The traveler entered and sat upon the wooden floor. The air beneath the roof was cooler, untouched by direct sun, and still so still that even his breath seemed louder than it had before. From within the pavilion, the garden unfolded in quiet layers. He could see the stream winding like a silver thread, the pines standing steady, and the faint shimmer of the pond in the distance. Each part of the garden seemed to bow toward the others, not in submission but in harmony. The traveler rested his palms on the floor. The wood was smooth, holding warmth from the day yet balanced by the shade. He felt as though the pavilion held memories, not stories of grand events, but of countless moments of stillness shared by those who had once lingered here. The longer he remained, the more the air around him grew delicate, as though it wished not to disturb even his thoughts. In that stillness, he felt himself dissolving, not into emptiness, but into something vast and gentle. The boundary between his breath and the wind, between his body and the floor beneath him, softened until all seemed to rest together. The pavilion asked nothing of him. It simply held space, as the garden always did, for quiet to bloom. When he finally rose, he bowed slightly, not as ritual, but as gratitude, and stepped once more into the paths of the lantern's domain. Chapter 7: The Garden of Falling Petals. The traveler followed the path as it curved gently through the grove and came to a place where blossoms drifted endlessly. Though it was not the season for flowers, pale petals floated upon the air, as though freed from the calendar of ordinary time. They fell without haste, spiraling softly, some settling on moss, others upon the water of a shallow basin carved into stone. Each petal lay as if it had chosen its place with care, and none disturbed the other. The traveler stepped slowly into this garden of falling petals. As he moved, they brushed his shoulders and hair, light as sighs. He lifted his hand, and one petal landed upon his palm, resting there as if it had been waiting. Its color was neither pure white nor pink, but something between, a shade that could not be named, only felt. When the traveler closed his eyes, he sensed that every petal carried a fragment of memory. Not his alone, but countless others who had walked through the garden. The petals did not cling, they released. Each one was a letting go, a reminder that beauty did not end when it fell, but became gentleness in another form. The air itself seemed softened by their descent. The sound of their falling was not a sound at all, yet it quieted even the faintest unrest within him. He lingered in the garden until his thoughts scattered like the petals themselves, light and unburdened, drifting into silence. Chapter 8: The Bell Beyond Time. Leaving the Garden of Petals, the traveler followed a path of stepping stones that rose gently uphill. At its crest stood a bell tower, simple in form yet resonant in presence. The bell within was large, its surface darkened by years, its rim touched with the faint green of weathered bronze. No hand pulled the rope, yet as the traveler approached, the bell released a single tone. It was not loud, it did not echo across valleys. Instead, it spread inward, reaching through his chest and settling deep within his heart. The sound seemed to last far longer than it should have. It expanded in widening circles, each one softer than the last, until even silence carried its memory. The traveler closed his eyes. In the vibration of the bell, he felt the weight of countless dawns and dusks, of ceremonies and pauses, of voices long since vanished, yet still lingering like faint incense in the air. The bell did not call him to action, nor to thought. It invited only stillness. Each time its tone returned, the traveler felt his breath fall into rhythm, as if the bell were guiding him toward a slower, truer pace of being. When the final echo faded, the air seemed clearer, as though the garden itself had exhaled. The traveler bowed slightly toward the bell, not as duty, but as recognition of the silence it had gifted him. He turned, and the path waited once more, carrying him gently onward. Chapter 9: The Moonlit Pond. The traveler returned to the pond he had first discovered, yet now night had fully embraced the garden. The lanterns glowed faintly once again, their light reflected upon the still water. Above, the moon rose round, luminous, and calm, its reflection a perfect circle upon the pond's surface. The air carried coolness, touched with the fragrance of damp moss. Cicadas had quieted, leaving only the soft hum of crickets hidden in the reeds. The world seemed balanced between silence and sound, stillness and motion. The traveler sat upon the same stone as before, gazing into the pond. The reflection of the moon wavered slightly with each ripple, yet never lost its shape. He thought of his own life, how the roads he had walked had bent and shifted, sometimes sharp, sometimes gentle. Yet even with such movement, the essence of who he was had never disappeared. The lanterns brightened slightly, as if in agreement. Their glow touched the surface of the pond, joining with the moon's reflection, until the water seemed to hold both sky and earth in its depths. The traveler leaned closer and saw his own face reflected there, yet softer, freer, as though it too had become part of the garden. For the first time in many seasons, he smiled without effort. As he closed his eyes, the moonlight seemed to rest upon his shoulders, easing him into dreams that carried no weight, only a quiet drift across endless water. Chapter 10: The Path of Silver Shadows. When he awoke, the moon had climbed higher, casting longer beams across the garden. The paths glowed faintly, silver lines traced upon moss and stone. Even the shadows seemed softened, no longer dark but touched with gentle light. The traveler rose and began walking. Each step felt slower than the last, not from weariness but from a wish not to disturb the quiet majesty of the night. His footsteps made no sound. It was as though the earth itself had decided to carry him, leaving him weightless. Along the path, the bamboo swayed, their thin leaves shimmering as if dusted with silver. The pines, too, held their stillness with dignity, their shadows stretching across the lantern's glow. The traveler realized he was no longer searching for where the path might lead. The journey itself had become enough, every step a destination, every breath a kind of arrival. The garden was teaching him that there was no need to hurry when silence walked beside him. At one bend in the path, he paused to look back. The lanterns glowed steadily, their light never wavering, and the pond shimmered like a mirror of the heavens. The whole garden seemed to breathe in harmony with the moon. The traveler lowered his gaze, allowing the silver shadows to guide him onward. Each step was soft, each moment unhurried, and in that pace, he felt closer than ever to peace. Chapter 11: The Wind Among the Lanterns. The traveler awoke to the sound of wind moving softly through the garden. It was not harsh or hurried, but gentle, like a hand brushing across the surface of still water. The lanterns stood quietly in their path, their stone bodies unmoved, yet the air around them seemed alive, humming with an invisible rhythm. As the traveler walked along the moss-lined path, he noticed how the wind carried different voices depending on where it touched. Passing through bamboo, it whispered in thin, high tones. Moving through pine, it spoke with a deeper, steadier voice. Gliding across the pond, it softened until it became almost indistinguishable from silence. He paused by one lantern in particular, older than the rest, its carvings faded by centuries. The wind seemed to linger around it, circling gently, as if reading the patterns etched upon its surface. The traveler placed his hand on the cool stone and felt as though the lantern and the wind were speaking not in words, but in patient exchanges older than memory. A thought came to him then, not sharp but soft, that the garden itself breathed. The wind was its exhalation, steady and kind, carrying away the weight of restless hearts. Each gust did not take from the traveler but rather gave him back a lighter sense of being. He closed his eyes and let the wind wrap around him, carrying away whatever remnants of heaviness still clung. When he opened them again, the lanterns glowed faintly, as though acknowledging his quiet surrender. Chapter 12: The Song of Hidden Birds. Later, as the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the garden shifted once more. From the thickets of bamboo and the high branches of pine, birds began to sing. Their voices rose not in chorus, but in gentle succession, one call answered softly by another, then fading into silence before the next began. The traveler sat on a stone bench and listened. The bird-song was not loud, nor did it strive to fill the air. It was scattered, delicate, like drops of water falling into a still pond. Each note rippled through the garden, reaching the lanterns, the pond, the bridge, the pavilion, until even the moss seemed to absorb their quiet joy. He realized that the birds were not singing to him, nor even to each other. They were simply singing because morning had come. After all, the sky was changing from silver to pale blue, because existence itself was enough to inspire song. The traveler smiled faintly, feeling his own breath join the rhythm of their calls. He did not try to interpret or understand. He simply received, letting the notes drift through him like petals carried by the breeze. For a long while, he sat in stillness, wrapped in birdsong and dawn light. And when the last note faded, leaving the air clear and tender, he felt as though he had been given a gift without beginning or end. The garden returned to silence, but it was a silence enriched, filled not with absence, but with the lingering memory of voices that knew no burden. Chapter 13: The Moss That Holds Time. The traveler came upon a wide expanse of moss stretching like a soft carpet across the earth. It lay thick and deep, its surface a tapestry of countless shades of green emerald, jade, olive, and even hints of gold where the light touched gently. He knelt and brushed his fingers lightly across it. The moss yielded beneath his hand, not fragile but resilient, holding moisture and coolness within. It seemed to breathe in its own way, quietly alive yet asking for nothing. As he remained still, he realized that the moss was not only part of the garden, it was its memory. It had grown slowly, year by year, season by season, carrying in silence the footsteps of birds, the fall of petals, the passing of rain. It preserved all things without judgment, softening them until even time itself rested easily upon its surface. The traveler lay down upon the moss. Its coolness welcomed him, cushioning his body, spreading a calm that seeped into his very bones. Looking upward, he saw branches shifting gently above, their shadows weaving slow patterns upon the ground. He closed his eyes. For a moment, it felt as though he too had become part of the moss, something that simply existed, neither hurried nor burdened, holding nothing yet losing nothing. In that stillness, time dissolved. When he finally rose, his body felt lighter, his thoughts slower, as though the moss had taken every sharp edge and softened it into quiet curves. He bowed toward the ground before continuing his path. Chapter 14: The Candle at Dusk. As evening returned, the traveler noticed a small structure nestled among the trees. Inside, upon a wooden stand, a single candle burned. Its flame was steady, not flickering wildly, but swaying gently with the faintest movements of air. The glow filled the space with warmth, touching the wooden beams and the smooth floor with golden light. Shadows danced softly, but not with restlessness. They moved as though in harmony with the flame, slow and tender. The traveler sat before the candle. Its light reminded him of the lanterns, though smaller, more intimate, like a single voice humming within the vast chorus of silence. He watched as the wax melted, cooling at the base, reshaping itself with each passing moment. The flame consumed and renewed at the same time, never resisting its nature. There was no hurry, no fear of ending, only the quiet offering of light. As he gazed into the flame, his breath slowed. Each exhale seemed to join with the candle's gentle sway, and with every inhale, he felt warmth entering his chest. The world beyond the room faded until only the flame remained, steady and calm, guiding him toward deeper stillness. When the wick finally shortened and the flame lowered, he did not feel sadness. Instead, he felt gratitude for its brief companionship. The glow lingered in his eyes even after the flame disappeared, as though the candle had passed its light into him. He rose quietly and stepped back into the evening garden, carrying the warmth within. Chapter 15: The Rain's Gentle Visit. The traveler awoke to the sound of rain. It was not a storm, nor even a steady downpour, but a soft pattering, as if the sky had chosen to speak in whispers. Each drop landed upon leaves, branches, and moss with its own rhythm, creating 1,000 tiny notes that blended into one gentle song. The lanterns, damp with moisture, shone faintly as the rain traced their surfaces. Small rivulets slid down their stone bodies, gathering in shallow grooves carved long ago. The moss beneath them seemed to drink eagerly, brightening into deeper shades of green. The traveler strolled, his robe becoming dotted with droplets, though he felt no discomfort. Instead, he felt the freshness of the air, the coolness that cleansed not only the garden but also his own heart. He paused beneath a pine, listening to how the rain changed its voice depending on where it fell. On broad leaves, it whispered like silk; on bamboo, it clicked like soft wooden beads; on the pond, it rang in delicate circles that spread until they overlapped and disappeared. The rain did not ask for attention. It simply came and went, restoring balance. The traveler smiled faintly, realizing that he too was like the garden, sometimes weary, sometimes dry, sometimes heavy, and that rain would always come when needed, washing away what was no longer meant to remain. Chapter 16: The Tea Room's Embrace. After the rain, the traveler found a small tea room at the edge of the garden. Its sliding doors were open, revealing a simple interior: tatami mats, a low table, and a single vase holding a fresh sprig of green. He stepped inside, leaving his wet sandals at the entrance. The air was warm and carried the faint scent of roasted leaves. A pot simmered over a small brazier, releasing curls of steam that twisted like delicate brush strokes. Though no host appeared, the traveler felt welcomed. He poured himself a cup from the pot, the tea flowing in a thin golden stream. Its warmth spread through the cup into his hands, then into his chest as he drank. The flavor was not strong but clear, like water that had learned to carry sunlight. The room itself seemed to breathe with him. The tatami beneath him was firm yet soft, grounding his body. The vase, with its single sprig, reminded him that beauty did not need abundance. The quiet, broken only by the sound of boiling water, was as soothing as a lullaby. He sat for a long while, sipping slowly, each mouthful a pause, each breath a settling. The tea carried not only warmth but also calm, as if every leaf within it had gathered the peace of the garden and offered it freely. When he finally placed the empty cup down, he bowed his head slightly in gratitude. The tea room had asked nothing, yet it had given him all he needed: comfort, stillness, and a reminder that even the simplest acts could carry infinite peace. He stepped back into the garden, the air fresh with rain, the lanterns steady in their glow. Chapter 17: The Gate of Still Journeys. The traveler came upon a wooden gate standing at the edge of the garden. Its beams were tall, weathered by sun and rain, yet strong, bearing the dignity of centuries. Moss crept along its base, while the upper beams framed the sky as though it were part of the gate itself. Passing beneath it, the traveler felt a shift, not in place, but in presence. It was as though the gate did not mark a border of earth but a threshold of spirit. He paused midway, letting the air settle around him. The silence here was deeper, carrying both weight and gentleness. He touched the wood of the gate, rough beneath his hand. Within its grain, he sensed the long patience of trees that had once stood tall. The craft of hands that had shaped it, the countless footsteps that had passed under it before his own. Each had left no mark, yet each had been acknowledged by the gate's quiet endurance. The traveler did not hurry through. He bowed slightly, then continued forward, carrying with him the awareness that every threshold in life was not an ending, but a resting point, a place to breathe before the next step. Behind him, the lanterns glowed faintly, and before him, the garden stretched further, waiting without urgency. Chapter 18. The stars gather above. Night deepened once more, and the traveler found himself in an open clearing where the trees parted to reveal the vast sky. The stars shone brightly, scattered in countless patterns, yet together they formed a single quiet tapestry. He lay down upon the grass, the earth cool beneath him, and gazed upward. The stars did not compete for brightness, each glowed steadily, content in its own place. Their light had traveled across unimaginable distances, only to arrive here, in this quiet garden, upon this quiet night. The traveler breathed slowly, letting his chest rise and fall with the rhythm of the universe. For the first time, he felt the measure of his life not as small or fleeting, but as part of something endless. Just as the moss held memory, and the lanterns held silence, the stars held eternity yet without weight. A faint breeze passed through, and for a moment it seemed that the stars themselves were whispering. Not in words, but in a hum older than time, assuring him that he was not apart from them, but within them, as they were within him. The traveler closed his eyes. Even behind his lids, he saw light, soft, infinite, steady. It guided him gently into dreams, where boundaries of earth and sky dissolved, leaving only a vast stillness filled with distant, tender stars. Chapter 19. The Dream Beyond Dreams. The traveler drifted into sleep once more, and within that sleep came a dream unlike any other. He found himself walking the garden paths again, yet they stretched endlessly, without beginning or end. The lanterns glowed more brightly than ever before, their light soft but unwavering, as though they carried the stars within their stone hearts. Petals drifted through the air, falling endlessly, yet never touching the ground. Streams flowed upward as well as down, their waters glimmering like liquid moonlight. The trees swayed though no wind moved them, and every sound the murmur of water, the hum of pine. The whisper of bamboo blended into one vast silence that held everything. In the dream, the traveler felt no weight, no body, no boundaries. He was not separate from the garden, nor was he merely passing through it. He was the moss, the lantern, the bridge, the pond, the candle, the stars. He was everything, and everything was at rest. The lantern spoke again, though without words you have wandered far enough. There is no need to seek, no need to carry. Here, all things return, all things rest. The traveler bowed his head in the dream, though even that gesture dissolved into stillness. He understood now that the garden was not a place outside him, but within him an endless sanctuary he could return to whenever silence was needed. The dream faded gently, not into waking, but into a deeper kind of peace. Chapter 20: The Return of Quiet Steps. When the traveler finally opened his eyes, dawn had come again. The lanterns stood silent, their glow faded with the night, yet their presence remained steady, as if still watching. The garden shimmered with morning dew, each drop sparkling like the memory of stars. He rose slowly, his movements unhurried, his breath calm. There was no sadness, no longing. The garden had given him what he did not know he needed: rest without demand, silence without emptiness, beauty without clinging. The path that led out of the garden was the same one that had once carried him in. Yet now it looked different, not because the stones had changed, but because his eyes had. Each step upon the moss, each rustle of bamboo, each sigh of wind felt complete in itself. Before leaving, he turned once more to the pond at the center. Its surface reflected the morning sky, pale and infinite. He bowed gently, not to the pond alone, but to the lanterns, the trees, the stream, the petals, the stars, and every still moment that had welcomed him. Then he walked on. The garden did not vanish, it traveled with him, carried in breath and memory. Wherever his road would lead, he knew he could return not by seeking hidden paths, but by closing his eyes and listening to the silence within. And so, beneath the unseen watch of the stone lanterns, the traveler departed in quiet steps, his heart as calm as the garden itself. Epilogue: The lanterns endure. The garden remained, though the traveler had gone. The lanterns stood as they always had, silent, steady, weathered by wind and rain, yet unbroken. Their stone forms carried no urgency, no desire for recognition. They simply endured, keepers of stillness, guardians of silence. At dusk, when the light softened and shadows lengthened, the lanterns seemed to breathe again. Though no flame was lit, their presence glowed quietly, as if the memory of the traveler's steps lingered in their hollow hearts. yet they asked for nothing. They knew that others would come, as they always had, those weary of the road, those searching for nothing, those simply needing to rest. The pond would continue to mirror the moon. The pines would continue to whisper. The stream would carry its endless lullaby, and petals would fall in their unhurried grace. Time would pass, but within the garden, passing was never lost. It was only a change, as natural as the breath between waking and dreaming. Far away, the traveler walked on. But within him, the garden remained. When he closed his eyes at night, he felt again the moss beneath his body, the flame of the candle warming his chest, the stars above whispering their endless patience. The lanterns glowed in his memory, steady and kind, guiding him gently into sleep. And so the garden continued within him, within time, beneath the watch of stone lanterns that needed no words to remind the world that silence is not emptiness, but fullness without weight, that rest is not an ending, but a beginning in softer form, that peace is always waiting, as near as the next breath. The lanterns endured. The garden breathed. And in their quiet reflection, all who entered found a path not to elsewhere, but to stillness itself. The hidden path through autumn leaves. Prologue: the first leaf falls. It was the quiet season, when summer's breath softened and the first cool winds brushed through the valleys. The traveler stood at the edge of a village, watching a single crimson leaf drift from a maple tree. It spun gently, without haste, before resting on the path of smooth stones. The air carried the faint scent of wood smoke, the promise of evening fires, and the hush of fields preparing for rest. Lanterns had not yet been lit, but their stone shapes waited patiently, standing among moss and fallen leaves. The traveler did not know what lay beyond the hills, nor what paths he might discover. But the falling leaf seemed to invite him forward, whispering that there was a hidden way waiting to be found, a path that appeared only in the season of turning leaves, where silence deepened and time itself seemed to pause. With a slow breath, he stepped beyond the village. The journey had begun. Chapter 1: The Path Beyond the Village. The traveler followed the road that led between rice fields, now golden and ready for harvest. The stalks swayed in unison, their gentle movement like a tide of earth. Farmers in wide hats worked quietly, their voices low, blending with the chirping of crickets hidden among the grasses. The path was narrow, bordered by stone walls softened by moss. A stream ran nearby, its water clear and slow, carrying with it the reflection of branches already touched with autumn's fire. Now and then, a leaf drifted across the surface, spinning as if unsure where to rest. As the traveler walked, he noticed the hush of the season. It was not silence, but a softer music, water flowing, bamboo creaking, wind moving through tall grasses. Each sound was gentle, each moment unhurried, as if the land itself invited stillness. When the sun began to sink, a faint orange glow spread across the horizon, painting the fields with amber light. The traveler paused, taking in the wide sky, before continuing along the path that curved toward the mountains. There, beyond the last houses of the village, the hidden way seemed to beckon. Chapter 2: Crimson Branches. The path rose slowly into the hillside, lined with maples whose branches arched overhead like a painted ceiling. Their leaves had begun to turn, some a pale yellow, others a deep red, others still caught between green and flame. When the wind stirred, they drifted downward in a slow shower, carpeting the earth in quiet color. The traveler reached out to catch one. Its surface was delicate, veined like fine silk, its red brighter than fire yet softer than sunset. Holding it, he felt as if he held not just a leaf, but the passing of a season, a moment too fragile to last. Stone lanterns appeared along the path, their shapes half hidden by the drifting leaves. Though unlit, they seemed to glow with the memory of many autumn evenings, when travelers before him had walked this same way, guided by their gentle light. The air cooled as he climbed higher, and the rustling of leaves became like a lullaby. The traveler's steps slowed, not from weariness, but from the wish to linger. With every turn, the path revealed new shades of red, new patterns of falling leaves, as though the hillside itself were painting the world in calm and color. And so, beneath crimson branches, the traveler continued deeper into the season's heart. Chapter 3: A River of Amber Light. The traveler soon reached a river that wound its way through the hills. Its waters were calm, moving with such gentleness that the sky above seemed painted upon its surface. The late sun had lowered, turning the water into a ribbon of amber light. Along its banks, tall grasses bent in the breeze, their feathery tips glowing silver in the fading day. Maple leaves floated upon the current, carried without resistance, some spinning in quiet circles before drifting out of sight. The traveler paused upon a wooden bridge that arched across the river. He leaned upon the railing, watching as light shifted upon the water. The sound of the current was steady, a soft murmur that seemed to wash away the weight of time. He closed his eyes and listened. There was the song of insects hidden in the reeds, the distant call of a bird returning to its nest, the gentle splash of fish breaking the surface. Each sound blended into the river's voice, a lullaby carried endlessly downstream. For a long while, the traveler stood there, letting the stillness seep into him. When he finally stepped off the bridge, he felt as though part of himself had been carried away with the drifting leaves, leaving only calm behind. Chapter 4: The Wooden Shrine. The path beyond the river led upward into a grove where the trees grew thick and tall. At the heart of the grove stood a small wooden shrine, its beams darkened with age, its roof blanketed with fallen leaves. Stone steps led to the entrance, flanked by lanterns mottled with moss. Though unlit, they seemed to guard the place with quiet dignity. The traveler ascended slowly, each step cushioned by layers of red and gold. At the top, he bowed gently before the shrine. No one was there, yet the air felt fulfilled not with voices, but with presence. The scent of cedar lingered, mingling with the faint smoke of incense that seemed to linger even though no flame burned. Inside, the shrine was simple: a small altar, a bell with a braided cord, offerings of rice and fruit left by unseen hands. The traveler touched the cord and rang the bell. Its tone was soft but clear, resonating through the grove like ripples spreading across still water. He closed his eyes. For a moment, the weight of all footsteps, all prayers, all breaths that had passed through this place seemed to gather within the sound. It was not heavy, it was comforting, like being wrapped in a blanket of countless quiet wishes. When the bell's echo faded, the traveler stepped back. The shrine remained silent, yet its silence was alive. He bowed once more, then turned toward the descending path, carrying with him the sense that he had been acknowledged, even without words. The leaves continued to fall as he walked, covering his footprints, as if reminding him that the hidden path was not for keeping, but for passing through gently. Chapter 5: The Silent Hillside. The path climbed gently into a hillside, where the slope opened to reveal a wide view of the valley below. The fields, already golden with harvest, stretched like a soft quilt under the late afternoon sun. The wind carried a faint chill, brushing against the traveler's cheeks, mingling with the earthy scent of fallen leaves. Trees grew more sparse on the hillside, yet their leaves blazed in colors of crimson, amber, and gold. Each gust sent a shower of them tumbling downward, spinning slowly like dancers in a quiet performance. The traveler paused, letting the leaves settle upon his shoulders and arms. He felt no hurry. The hillside itself seemed to slow time, as though urging him to linger in every sound, every color, every moment. The rustling leaves beneath his feet were a gentle accompaniment to the distant murmuring of the valley below. For a long while, he sat upon a smooth rock, absorbing the warmth of the sun and the hush of the hillside. The wind carried not only leaves but a sense of all the seasons that had passed here, the spring of blossoms, the summer of sunlight, the autumn of quiet brilliance. When he finally rose, he felt as if the hillside had imparted a small gift, the ability to carry the stillness with him, wherever the path might lead. Chapter 6: The Path of Fallen Leaves. Beyond the hillside, the traveler found a narrow path bordered by trees whose branches intertwined overhead, forming a tunnel of color. Fallen leaves covered the ground, softening each step, their rustling faint yet comforting. The path curved gently, guiding him through arches of gold and red. Light filtered through the leaves, scattering in warm patterns that moved with every sway of the branches. Occasionally, a leaf detached and drifted downward, landing somewhere along the path as if marking the way. Stone lanterns appeared intermittently along the trail, their surfaces mottled with moss and the shadows of branches. Though no flame burned within them, they seemed to glow faintly, holding the memory of countless autumn evenings. The traveler walked slowly, listening to the soft cadence of his own steps upon the leaf-carpeted ground. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of earth and decaying leaves, yet it was gentle rather than heavy, carrying a subtle promise of comfort. He paused beneath a particularly large maple, its crimson canopy stretching overhead. Looking up, he saw the intricate patterns of branches and leaves, sunlight caught in the veins of each one. The traveler realized that the path itself was alive with quiet beauty, guiding him not by force, but by invitation. And so, amidst the fallen leaves and the shadows of lanterns, he continued onward. Each step slower and more deliberate, as though the path itself was teaching him the art of gentle wandering. Chapter 5: The Silent Hillside. The path climbed slowly up a gentle hillside, blanketed in leaves that had turned shades of amber, crimson, and gold. Each step made a soft crunch beneath the traveler's feet, yet the sound was delicate, like whispers of the earth itself. The hillside stretched wide, opening onto a view of distant mountains painted in autumn haze. Mist clung to the valleys, softening the outlines of trees and hills, while the sky overhead was the pale silver of early evening. The traveler paused, taking in the quiet majesty. The wind stirred only lightly, rustling the leaves in a gentle sigh. He felt the hillside's stillness wrap around him, as though the world itself were slowing its breath to match his own. A small deer emerged from the edge of the forest, its fur kissed by golden light. It paused, regarding the traveler with quiet eyes before slipping silently back into the trees. He watched, smiling faintly, sensing that all life here moved in careful balance with the season. No rush, no demand, only presence. He continued onward, letting the hillside guide him, every step a meditation on stillness, every breath in rhythm with the earth beneath his feet. Chapter 6: The Bridge of Fallen Leaves. The path descended toward a narrow wooden bridge arching over a small stream. Fallen leaves had gathered upon it, forming a soft carpet of red, orange, and gold. The traveler stepped carefully, each footfall cushioned by the layer of leaves. The stream below was calm, reflecting the colors above like a moving mirror. A few leaves floated gently on the surface, spinning slowly before drifting downstream. The lanterns along the bridge were unlit, yet their presence was unmistakable, silent guardians of passage. The traveler paused midway. Leaning on the rail, he watched the leaves swirl, thinking of the countless travelers who had passed here before him. Each footstep was temporary, yet the path remained, patient and enduring, carrying the memory of all who had walked it without complaint. The sound of water, soft and steady, mixed with the rustle of leaves and distant birdsong. It was not a melody to command attention, but a lullaby for the soul, a rhythm that invited calm and slowed thought. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the sounds, the colors, and the gentle sway of the world around him settle into his chest. When he opened them, he continued across the bridge, feeling lighter, as if each leaf had absorbed a bit of his weariness. Chapter 7: The Little Shrine. Beyond the bridge, the path wound into a grove where trees grew thick and close. At its heart stood a small wooden shrine, almost hidden by the branches and fallen leaves. Its roof was simple but dignified, moss growing along the edges, and stone lanterns flanked the entrance, quiet witnesses to centuries of seasons. The traveler approached slowly, pausing to touch the smooth stone of a lantern. The cold surface felt grounding, as though the earth itself acknowledged his presence. He bowed gently before the shrine, and though no one was there, the space seemed alive, filled with the memory of those who had come before him. Inside, a single candle burned. Its light was faint, flickering softly, casting long, trembling shadows upon the wooden walls. The traveler knelt and inhaled the faint scent of incense. It reminded him that even in solitude, warmth and light could exist quietly, without demand. He sat for a long while, listening to the hush of the grove. The rustle of leaves, the distant murmur of the stream. The soft crackle of the candle flame. Each sound was a gentle reminder of the calm that resided in the world, and in himself. When he finally stood, He bowed once more, leaving the shrine as he had found it. Yet its peace accompanied him, a quiet companion as he continued along the winding path. Chapter 8: The Autumn Night Sky. As twilight deepened, the path opened into a small clearing. Above, the sky had darkened into a deep indigo, and stars began to appear, tiny points of light shining steadily. The moon rose, round and pale, casting silver across the landscape and painting the fallen leaves with subtle luminescence. The traveler lay upon a bed of leaves, letting their softness support him. The air was cool, scented faintly with pine and damp earth. Crickets sang softly, and a distant owl called once, then fell silent. Looking up, he felt the vastness of the sky, the countless stars sparkling like scattered lanterns. He realized that the forest, the hills, the river, and even the shrine were all part of a larger rhythm, one that continued regardless of his presence. He breathed slowly, in time with the night, feeling his heartbeat align with the quiet pulse of the world. In that moment, there was no hurry, no thought of tomorrow. Only the gentle unfolding of night, the rustling of leaves, and the steady light of the autumn sky. The traveler closed his eyes, letting the peace of the night sink into him, carrying him forward into dreams as soft and endless as the path beneath the stars. Chapter 9: The Misty Valley. The path descended into a valley shrouded in a delicate mist. The fog rolled gently between the trees, softening their outlines, and the colors of autumn, the reds, oranges, and golds appeared as though painted upon water. The traveler walked slowly, listening to the muted sounds of the valley, the faint rush of a hidden stream. The occasional tapping of a distant bird, the whisper of wind moving through the tall grass. Every sound was softened by the mist, creating a serene, almost otherworldly music. He paused beside a boulder, its surface slick with dew, and knelt to touch the moss that had grown there. The moss was cool and firm, holding within it the quiet memory of countless rains and seasons past. The traveler felt as though the valley itself was breathing, and he breathed with it, letting every tension drift away with the swirling fog. As he continued along the path, the mist began to thin, revealing glimpses of the autumn hillside beyond. The valley had hidden its beauty, but now it revealed it slowly, reminding him that patience often brings the most profound serenity. Chapter 10: The Tea House at Dusk. At the edge of the valley, a small tea house appeared, nestled among trees that blazed with autumn color. Smoke curled gently from its chimney, carrying the comforting scent of wood smoke and roasting leaves. The traveler stepped inside, leaving behind the cool mist, and felt the warmth embrace him. Inside, the room was simple tatami mats, low wooden tables, and a window that framed the red and gold leaves outside like a living painting. A pot of tea simmered quietly over a small brazier, and the soft hiss of the water seemed to blend with the distant rustling of leaves. The traveler poured a cup and held it between his hands. The warmth seeped into his palms, then into his chest, spreading through him like liquid comfort. He sipped slowly, letting the taste linger, a mixture of earth, fire, and quiet care. Through the window, the fading sunlight cast long shadows across the floor. The traveler watched, breathing in time with the gentle rhythm of the world. Each moment was enough, no action, no thought could improve upon it. He felt the slow unfolding of evening, the peacefulness of being present, and the subtle joy of simply existing in harmony with the season. When he finally set the cup down, he stepped back into the path, carrying the warmth of the tea house with him. The autumn leaves whispered beneath his feet, guiding him onward with patient, golden light. Chapter 11: The Whispering Mountains. The path rose again into the mountains, where the trees stood taller and the air grew cooler. The wind moved through the branches, carrying a soft, constant murmur. It was as though the mountains themselves were speaking not with words, but with breath and rustle, a language older than any human voice. The traveler walked slowly, letting the whisper of the mountains guide him. Each step was measured, careful, yet effortless. The sound of his own breathing blended with the wind, the leaves, and the distant call of a mountain bird. He paused on a flat stone overlooking a small valley. Mist curled between the peaks, softening their outlines and painting them with a quiet majesty. He leaned forward, allowing the stillness to fill him, and felt the rhythm of the mountains enter his chest. The mountains were patient. They had stood through countless seasons, countless travelers, countless moments of change. Their whisper was not a call to action, but an invitation to rest, to listen, and to become part of the enduring calm. The traveler closed his eyes and let the mountain's breath flow through him. He felt lighter, slower, as though the world itself had settled into a gentle, infinite rhythm. Chapter 12: The Bridge of Crimson Night. As dusk fell, the traveler came upon a small wooden bridge arching over a quiet stream. The trees surrounding it were ablaze with autumn color, their red and gold leaves forming a soft canopy above the water. Fallen leaves drifted gently, gathering along the bridge and its banks. The lanterns lining the path were unlit, yet they seemed to glow with the memory of countless evenings. The traveler stepped onto the bridge, feeling the soft crunch of leaves beneath his feet, and paused at its center. The water below reflected the fading sky, turning from amber to deep indigo. Each ripple carried the colors of the leaves, blending sky and earth into one harmonious whole. The traveler leaned on the railing and watched quietly, feeling the bridge not as a crossing but as a pause, a place to rest between journeys. A gentle wind stirred the leaves, rustling softly like a lullaby. The traveler closed his eyes, breathing in time with the sway of the branches and the quiet movement of the water. For a long while, he remained there, suspended between day and night, between the world and the inner calm that had grown steadily with every step along the hidden path. When he finally continued, it was with the certainty that the bridge and the stillness it held would remain behind him, waiting for his return whenever he needed it. Chapter 13: The Forgotten Orchard. Beyond the bridge, the path led to a small orchard, largely forgotten by time. Trees stood unevenly, their branches heavy with the remnants of fruit and autumn leaves. Apples, pears, and persimmons hung quietly, their colors muted in the soft afternoon light. The traveler walked slowly among them, brushing his fingers across rough bark and fallen fruit. The air was filled with a subtle, sweet scent, mingled with the earthy aroma of fallen leaves. Each tree seemed to tell a story of seasons long past, harvests shared, storms weathered, quiet nights under the moon. Fallen leaves carpeted the ground, rustling softly beneath his feet. The traveler paused to pick up a small persimmon, feeling its weight in his hand. He held it briefly, not to eat, but to acknowledge the passage of time it represented. Then he set it gently back on the earth, as if returning a memory to the orchard. The orchard seemed to hum with its own rhythm. There was no hurry, no demand. Only the quiet presence of life, changing slowly, holding space for each season to pass in its own time. The traveler breathed in, letting the peace settle deep into his chest, feeling that even forgotten places could hold enduring calm. Chapter 14: The Candle Within the Temple. The path next led to a small temple, its wooden doors weathered and its walls lined with moss. Inside, a single candle burned on a low altar, its flame steady and warm. The traveler stepped in quietly, leaving behind the crisp air of the orchard, and felt the gentle embrace of the temple's stillness. The room was simple tatami mats, a small bell, and the soft scent of incense lingering in the air. The candle's light cast long, trembling shadows across the walls, illuminating tiny carvings in the wood that had weathered countless seasons. The traveler knelt, placing his hands around the cup of tea provided by the temple. Its warmth seeped through him, blending with the glow of the candle. He sipped slowly, letting the heat and the quiet settle into his chest, feeling the rhythm of the temple echo in his heartbeat. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, moving fallen leaves across the temple's steps. The traveler closed his eyes, letting the sound mix with the steady flame, the scent of incense, and the warmth of tea. Time seemed to pause, the past and present folding gently into the calm of the moment. When he finally stood, he bowed to the altar and stepped back onto the path. The candle's glow remained in his memory, a quiet companion for the journey ahead. Chapter 15: The Path of Rustling Leaves. The traveler continued along a narrow path covered in a thick carpet of fallen leaves. Each step produced a soft rustle, a gentle sound that echoed briefly before fading into the quiet of the woods. The path twisted between maple and ginkgo trees, their branches heavy with late autumn color. He walked slowly, savoring the sensation beneath his feet. The leaves were dry and crisp in some places, damp and soft in others, carrying the scent of earth and rain. The wind whispered through the branches, stirring them gently, sending occasional leaves spinning into the air like tiny dancers. Every sound, every movement, seemed carefully measured by the forest. There was no rush, no expectation, only the calm rhythm of the natural world. The traveler felt his own breath match this rhythm, slowing with each step, each rustle beneath his shoes. The path bent around a small hill, revealing a view of the valley below. Sunlight filtered through the trees, glinting off the leaves in golden shafts. The traveler paused, letting the quiet fill him, feeling that every leaf, every sound, every turn of the path was a guide toward peace. Chapter 16: The Autumn Moon. As evening fell, the moon rose over the hillside, round and luminous, casting silver light upon the leaves. Shadows stretched long and gentle across the path, mingling with the glow of lanterns that had been lit at the edges of the woods. The traveler found a small clearing and lay down on the soft layer of leaves. The moonlight painted the world in shades of silver and amber, transforming the familiar forest into a serene and magical place. Each breath of wind brought the scent of fallen leaves, mingled with the faint chill of night air. Above, stars began to twinkle faintly. The traveler gazed upward, feeling the vastness of the sky and the quiet presence of the earth beneath him. Time seemed to slow, each moment stretching peacefully, carrying him toward a calm he had not known he sought. He closed his eyes, letting the rustle of leaves, the silver light, and the gentle breath of night guide him into a dreamlike state. The autumn moon watched over him, steady and kind, illuminating the path not just through the forest, but into the quiet of his own heart. Chapter 17 The Gate of Returning Winds. The path began to descend, carried on a gentle wind that stirred the branches and scattered leaves across the ground. The traveler felt the wind wrap around him, cool and soft, as though guiding him forward without haste. Ahead, a wooden gate appeared at the edge of a small clearing. Its beams were darkened by age, moss clinging to the base, yet it stood with quiet dignity. Passing beneath it, the traveler felt a subtle shift, as if the wind itself were reminding him that every journey contains both arrival and return. He paused under the gate, letting the breeze play with his hair and brush softly across his robe. The rustling leaves whispered like an old song, one that spoke of endings that were also beginnings, of movement that carried no burden. The traveler walked on slowly, feeling lighter with each step. The gate behind him remained silent, yet it seemed to hum with memory the footsteps of those who had passed before, the wind that had never failed to accompany travelers, and the enduring presence of the forest itself. Chapter 18 The Hidden Pond. The path led to a small pond, hidden among a cluster of maples and pines. Its surface was perfectly still, reflecting the red and gold leaves above like a mirror. A few leaves drifted down, landing softly upon the water without a sound, rippling briefly before settling. The traveler knelt at the edge, dipping his fingers into the cool water. It was smooth, quiet, and unhurried like the forest itself, holding time in suspension. He gazed into the reflection, seeing both the sky and himself intertwined with the colors of autumn. The pond seemed to contain everything the traveler had seen along the path: the hills, the bridge, the shrine, the orchard, the moon, and the rustling leaves. Here, all those moments and places were distilled into one perfect stillness. He closed his eyes, breathing in the crisp air and letting the calm of the pond fill him. The hidden path had brought him not just through the forest, but into the quiet center of himself, where every leaf, every whisper of wind, every shimmer of light could be savored and remembered. Chapter 19 Dreams Among Falling Leaves. As night deepened, the traveler lay upon the soft carpet of leaves near the hidden pond. The rustling around him became a gentle lullaby, and the faint glow of the moon reflected in the water guided him into a dreamlike state. In his dream, the autumn forest seemed to expand endlessly. Leaves drifted around him in slow motion, swirling without end, while lanterns from previous paths glowed softly in the distance. The hills, streams, and shrines he had visited merged into a seamless landscape, where every color and every sound was calm and alive at the same time. He walked slowly through this dream world, feeling each leaf as though it carried a memory, a gentle echo of all the moments he had lived along the path. The wind, the rustle, the soft glimmer of the moon, each element spoke in silence, inviting him to rest fully, without hurry or thought. Here, he realized that the journey had never been about reaching a destination. It had been about presence, about noticing the subtle rhythms of life, and about allowing oneself to exist quietly within the natural flow of time. Chapter 20: The Quiet Return. When the traveler awoke, dawn had begun to touch the horizon. The pond was still, the leaves glimmered with dew, and the first birds began to sing. He rose slowly, feeling light and unhurried, carrying within him the peace of the hidden path. The road back to the village stretched before him, yet it felt different than when he had first walked it. Each step was deliberate, yet effortless. Each breath was filled with calm. He noticed the gentle sway of bamboo, the shimmer of moss, and the lingering warmth of lantern memories along the path. Before leaving the forest, he paused once more at the edge of the pond. Its surface reflected the morning sky, pale and infinite. He bowed to the trees, to the fallen leaves, and to the path itself. The journey had changed him, not by bringing him somewhere new, but by revealing the quiet sanctuary that had been inside him all along. With steady, calm steps, he returned to the village. The hidden path remained, silent and patient, ready to welcome any traveler who needed rest, reflection, and the gentle touch of autumn's quiet magic. Epilogue: The path remains. The forest remained, though the traveler had returned to the village. The trees still stood tall, their branches heavy with the memory of autumn's passage. Leaves continued to fall, scattering softly across the paths, over the bridges, and upon the mossy stones. The pond, the shrines, the orchard, and the small bridges held their quiet watch. Even the lanterns, unlit by human hands, seemed to glow faintly in remembrance of every traveler who had walked the hidden path. They asked for nothing, offering only the calm of presence and the gentle embrace of time passing slowly. In the village, life continued in its gentle rhythm, yet the traveler carried the forest within him. In moments of pause while pouring tea, walking quietly along the road, or closing his eyes at night, he could feel the leaves beneath his feet, the rustle of wind in the branches, the calm reflection of the hidden pond, and the warmth of the candle within the temple. The hidden path had shown him that stillness is never far, that calm is always possible, and that the rhythm of nature, the quiet touch of leaves, and the glow of lanterns could guide anyone, at any time, into peace. And so, the path remained waiting silently beneath the trees, ready to welcome any wandering heart that sought rest, reflection, and the tender quiet of autumn's embrace. The leaves would continue to fall, the wind would continue to whisper, and the hidden path would endure, eternal and patient, beneath the ever-turning seasons.